So I started recording in here. God, the camera is in such a bad angle. Let's just fix the angle. How do I sit correctly in here, like? Guess it's just so hard to fix this camera. It's just so hard to fix this camera, right? Just always has to look. Guess this should be fine. How do I make this bigger, or this is the maximum? I guess this is the maximum, right? Maybe like this, somehow like this. It should be fine, cause fuck this camera anyways. Like, okay, so let's look at the swain rework. You know, that's why I'm basically here. I just thought I might turn on my camera, so I guess it's somewhat fixed. So let's look at the swain rework, right? The passive Raven's Flock, healing from soul fragments from 4 to so it's basically a bit higher, right? It's a tiny bit higher in the later levels. In the earlier levels it's legit the same thing of maximum health as it was before, so at later levels, at level 11, it has heals, I mean, a bit more, of course, right? Maximum health increase per soul fragment is up from 5 to 12, so which means that likely this champion will build demonic embrace just because of the HP synergy that it has with him. Plus this champion, even though he's ranged, this champion can have continuous damage with his ultimate. Now he can turn it on and off. Aside of that, he can continuously spam his skill, which is generally good, but there is a world where people buy Rift into Demonic, into Frozen Heart, or I think there will be some definitely there will be some type of tankier Swain builds. So yeah, let's see what they buffed in here. So they buffed the base damage. That's okay, that's decent, right? This champion was always like a weaker champion from my personal opinion, and now they buffed it a little bit up, the damage, but the AP scaling got a tiny bit nerfed. Okay, it's not a big deal. So apparently it has a bit more damage, 5 every level, but 2% less. Okay, and maximum damage 5 bolts, right? So this is the maximum damage, right? So the maximum damage is up with 20 every level, and the AP scaling from 64 to 70 to 80 to 88 to 90, 96 went up to 70 flat every level, which is a bit better when you have 1 point in your queue, but then the AP scaling falls off, but then again you have like 20 bonus per level, so its flat damage gets buffed, which generally means his early game bullying power will be a bit stronger, of course, same as the cooldown, right? So the scaling damage is a bit nerfed, right? But the cooldown is lowered, which generally means you can bully harder early on. You generally max your Q on Swain, right? And if you build some cooldown, as I said, you can like spam that Q, which means Cosmic could be a good item on him, right? Mana cost is way lowered as well, so this will actually give some power to the champion, right? And I forgot to mention the pull E mechanism. Swain no longer uses passive Raven's Flock to pull and rip out soul fragments from immobilized enemies. CE never, right? Okay, so they changed the W finally, right? So mana cost lowered, okay, it's fine. They lowered it by 10, then it goes up by 15, so progressively it has a less mana cost, which is generally good. These buffs are so far decent, right? Now let's see what else they did, right? Pinging W vision of Empire now displays a list of visible enemies within range in Teams chat, similar to Twisted Fates and Nocturne Suit. Okay, yes, that's something. That's like about communication mostly, right? So pitiful pawns, right, can now be recast to pull all champions rooted by his E. Never move, ripping out one soul fragment from each of them. I assume this will be good against Nico, because if she W's you can always pull out 1 or 2 soul fragments out of her, right? Which is kinda good, I assume, right? A true visionary. Now grants vision of all rooted targets. I assume that's really good. In the case if someone goes invisible, although Swain doesn't really cares about invisible targets, and he doesn't really cares too much about revealing people in bushes, just because you have AoE abilities, which means it anyways will hit them, but it can be beneficial for teammates, so I don't think so these changes really buff or push him away necessarily from bot lane, because I mean his W already reveals people, so I don't know about his E reveal, like I don't feel like it's that good honestly, like it's like whatever, right? Now grants vision on our routed targets, of course. E never move cooldown is reduced by 20%, right? During your ultimate. That's something I suppose, right? But I don't know how to feel about these buffs, because I still feel like they didn't really like... So I thought they're gonna speed up like... they're gonna speed up his E animation and his abilities animation in general, but apparently these are just some quality changes, right? Let's hope the ultimate is better. Okay, so from 120 to 100 to 80, 60, so generally you have it up higher, then it scales better a bit with levels, right? The rain damage per second, it got lowered because the cooldown got lowered, I assume, right? The damage is lower with 15, kind of like 15 per level, then the AP ratio is down by 4%. It's low-key looks like it's a nerf, honestly. Like its scaling is a bit worse, but you know. The rain heal per second, so it's lowered but the AP ratio is higher, right? And at higher levels he gets more, after level 11 you get like more healing, right? Then it has like a bigger AP ratio eventually. Big burp. No longer grants Swain 125, 200, so no more HP, right? Because there is again his passive provides him more HP, so I assume to compensate that so he doesn't get like too much HP. I don't know if it would make him really broken. Demon power, activating demonic ascension grants Swain 50 demon power. What's that even? Which decreases at an initial rate of 10 per second, right? After 5 seconds of demonic ascension, I don't even know how do I say that. Seconds of demonic ascension, Swain demon power decreases faster at a rate of 15 per second. Okay, but what does this demon power even do? Swain gains 20 demon power per second while draining enemy champions. Okay, but what does the demon power do? Big demon energy. After 2 seconds of demonic ascension, Swain can recast his ultimate or demon flare. Or demon flare can only be cast once and does not end demonic ascension. That's an interesting change, right? Okay. So the damage is higher, right? At least that's something. The AP scaling is higher. That's interesting, definitely interesting, right? Demon Flare now slows enemies by 60%. That's actually good, because it allows you to connect your E more easily after slowing people, and your E cooldown is also reduced by 20% when your ultimate is up, so that does something. You can possibly combine it with Everfrost. I mean, there are item options, of course. Expanded, okay. Oh god, I'm talking so quickly that I tire my mouth actually. Expanded, not stored. Demon Flare no longer deals additional damage based on health drained from enemies. I guess that's something. I actually don't know how to feel about these buffs, because I don't like it's weird that they nerf a bit the scaling, you know, and they buff the flat damage, which maybe will push the champion towards a tankier style. That's how I see it, right? Because I feel like there is some tank Swain type of Pepega build will come up soon, but I don't think so this really fixes the champion, honestly, because what does this even do? I mean, its base damage is higher and he can spam his Q more often, right? That's like a good thing. Ooh. But I don't feel like this is like I don't feel like this is like so extremely good, you know? Like, I still see the champion being better as a support than a mid laner, because it's, yeah, like you need some time of Pantheon on bot lane to stun somebody, then you can connect your combo. But the problem with Swain is still that you can't really hit your abilities, you know, like in higher ranks it's so hard to hit your W, your E, your Q is short range, so if you face a mage realistically you won't hit it sadly. So his early game will be stronger, right? He gets a better early game against melee champions. Some melee champions I assume it's not that bad. I mean the champion still, let's just practice to it out before I say anything, but I feel like the champion is not really as good as I thought it will be. Like I thought they're gonna buff his E speed or something, but I think the champion is still not the best. Swain, maybe Conqueror is the meta right now. Conqueror, Phase Rush, Electrocute, these are like the three things you can generally go for, right? Your secondary runes, you can also go tanky, or you can go tenacity, you can go scaling as well, or bone plating, or you can also go secondary sorcery of course, or inspiration. I think this can be really like depending on what you play.
You do not see.
Probably you can get Ghost as well on the champion. I think Ghost is fine. I'm totally fine with Ghost. You can take also Ignite, Barrier not bad, Exhaust not bad, TP not bad. I think there are many like secondary options you can go for, right? Alright. Okay. Yeah, but I think the champion is still not it. Like I think it's still not it. Okay. Yep. The item recommends me the support item. Ironically enough, they wanted to buff him so he's more so viable on mid lane, but the game apparently still recommends the mid lane. I mean the support build. I don't know if this really will push the champion. Let's see like his level 3 damage. They buffed a bit the base damage, right? Let's get like level 4, level 4, let's say I get level 4, right? Let's place down a practice dummy, right? Practice to practice dummy. So W.
The battle is yet to be decided.
So the Q has a bit more damage, right? Yeah, the damage is like definitely higher a little bit early on, right? So at 216, right?
Minions have spawned.
216, okay. So with Electrocute you will have a more upfront damage. So let's see like the full combo damage of Swain, right? But to deal maximum damage with Q you gotta be in a closer range. So if you go for like a trade in the sense that you Q from a longer range, that will significantly lower the damage. So you gotta at least hit 2 bolts on your target. Hitting only 1 bolt will deal significantly less damage, but the thing is you have your bolts up way faster on rotation, so that's something. Like 6 seconds is not much, right? So if you hit 2 bolts is like 86, and you can hit like, usually you can hit 2 bolts at least, right? So that's like 86, and if you hit 1 only, oh, it's hard actually to hit only 1. Right. Okay. So apparently like this you're hitting, like you need to like reach a certain distance. Like in here I think, do believe you hit 3 bolts, right? And if you get closer you can even hit 5. So this is like 3 bolts, it's 165, right? And 2 bolts is something like this, I think. Something like this, right? It's 2 bolts, so can you hit like 3 bolts from like a long range? I assume if the hitbox of the champion is a bit thicker, like a Cho'Gath or something, you can hit 3 bolts. Let's see if I can hit all 3 of them. But this practice dummy has a small hitbox, right? So if you will face a champion that has generally a bigger hitbox and you may be gonna hit 3 bolts. Let's see if I can hit them. Yeah, that's 3 bolts. So apparently you can hit 3 bolts on Swain. Sometimes you're gonna hit only 2, right? But yep. So this definitely enhances his early game. I would say against melee champions is a bit tiny bit better. Then you gotta be something like this close. That from this range you will generally hit most of your ones, and if you are like this close, then you will hit probably all of them, right? 216, yeah. So at least you need to be like this close, something like this, right? So what if we build a little bit of cooldown? What if we get some gold? What if we get some levels and see how it goes, right? These cooldown buffs. The Leandry is not a bad item. I wouldn't say it's bad, right? We can definitely get Leandry. Let's get some gold. Let's see some build patterns. Leandry is definitely a decent item. Cosmic Drive is an interesting item. Boots, cooldown boots, but you can also go sword boots. Any of these boots are actually fine on Swain. Maybe even boots of swiftness, right? So cooldown boots. Let's go for a cooldown build, right? And Cosmic Drive I think definitely has its place on Swain. So let's get some points in our ultimate, in our Q, in our E again. Let's get level 9 actually. Let's get like full points in Q. 1.71 seconds, gentlemen, so they really lowered the cooldown, right? And your E has like 5.71, right? 5.71, so if you have like 75 cooldown, you have these items. These items, I would recommend them, but you can also like, you go Frozen Heart, I do believe. You can really flex your build. I would say a cooldown build is always decent on Swain, so right now you can spam your Q this often, right? Oh wait, I have this thing on. So it's kind of spammy, right? So mobility is really good on the champion then, right? How do we even pull the target? Honestly, I have no idea how do you pull. Oh, you reactivate it, okay. You reactivate it. So does the pull even deal damage though? No, the pull deals no damage. Okay. But I think it does apply Magi, so... Interesting build to go cooldown, right? Like your cooldowns will be low, then you reduce like your E cooldown by 20% if you ult, so let's get another level, let's get our ult up, right? So like your E has like 5.71. What if I get like max points in my... Let's see max points in my... How much is that, right? So right now we have... Oh, it doesn't scales. It doesn't scales like that. So 5.71, right? And it's roots for like 1.5, right? So if I ult, it's lower. So you can spam it more often. Like I would say this could be an ideal build Cosmic Drive, because you can really spam your things, right? Like I would say Cosmic Drive is really good in the sense of mobility, cooldown, makes your abilities really spammy, of course. Then you get like faster rotations of ultimates off, which is kinda good on Swain because they already buff the cooldown itself on the champion, so... Yeah, I would say it's definitely like something that's worth to notice. Maybe Archangel stuff or Twin Boom Winter are options as well to go for, of course, if you choose. The Swain looks really good by the way with Conqueror and with the Phase Rush, like the champion looks good even with the base skin, like look how nice the effects are overall, right? They really fit the color, it's like a butterfly actually. From a demon with all his effects, from a demon he looks like a butterfly. Yeah, like... Yeah, he actually looks like more like a butterfly if I broke everything, right?
The shadows of our empire are cast by a raven.
Lichbane could be a good item as well. I don't judge it to be necessarily bad, although Swain doesn't really have a high base AD. The reason for that is every rotation of Q you're gonna get a Lichbane proc on auto attacks, right? So for example I do this, I auto attack, it comes up, I Q it and I auto attack. So maybe there is like a ward where it's not bad, in fact it can have possibly more DPS than the Cosmic Drive. There is a ward where people actually build that, right? But I think I do believe there are many options you can go for, right? Like if I go through like some items in here, like mage items in general, right? Like even Rallies is interesting. I would say it's definitely interesting on Swain. Like you can also go for a really cheap Rallies. Right now Rallies is really cheap as an option, right? There are other cheap items as well that I wouldn't say that are necessarily bad, right? Telling you, let's try like Rallies. Rallies definitely constantly slows, which allows you to connect your E a bit more easily, right? Then again, your ult slows as well, so generally what you want to do if you don't have Rallies, or even if you have it, you want to like recast your ultimate slow and then try to connect your E, because it will be significantly easier to connect your E if somebody slows that hard, right? I would say Rallies definitely can have its place on Swain, right? Like you have your Q up on every 2.70 seconds, even if you don't have ultimate, it's not really a bummer, because what will eventually happen is that so this lasts permanently, or I think this lasts permanently until you have a champion around, right? Yep, so actually this lasts permanently, so that's kinda good when you have allies in your
There
pocket.
is always
I would say it's like a decent
the
option to go
truth
for,
of exception.
right? Just because of the rotations of Q you get, so it lasts 1 second the slow, then the slow allows you to connect your E more easily, as I said, so that definitely helps, right? So there is something into it, right? I wouldn't say it's necessarily bad. Actually like this, like it's somewhat good. Now then again, you can go for a burst damage build as well, but I don't think so it makes that much sense, because you're not really a burst damage champion on Swain, you're more so a DPS oriented champion, so with these buffs I don't feel like it's necessarily like that good to go Ludens and Rabadon and all that, right? Right, and maybe I get a Shadow Flame over this, but I don't feel like the champion bursts that hard, right?
Patience is a
You
virtue.
can even try this out, of course, right? That his W seems to be actually bigger. Actually seems to be bigger. Yeah, it doesn't seem like he's bursting that hard. I mean, he has some damage, but yeah, I mean, this is more so the Leandri champion from my opinion, right? Also, it's not bad with Ludens because like damage over time from your ultimate and from the other sources, it's like okay, but like it reduces faster, right? So it allows you to have some mobility, but I don't know, I don't think so. It really does more than Leandri would do, right? Like it definitely provides something, right? It resets it quicker, which means if you value the mobility, I wouldn't say it's necessarily bad to go for that, right? If you value the mobility. Then again, you can go also for a bruiser build. For example, if they have a lot of AP champions, there is like an interesting thing you can go for. You can go Riftmaker. Maybe you can get the Frozen Heart if you choose, right? Let's go the Frozen Heart, so this will make you tanky. This will make you have some damage as well, of course, right? Maybe we can throw in a Demonic Embrace as well. Let's throw in a Demonic Embrace, and
The advantage
then last
lies
item,
in
Gargoyle. So this would be like a fine. Like, of course, you will have more stacks in your game, more HP, which means Gargoyle will be generally better, right? This is like a tank build. I assume it could possibly work on Swain if you stack up more HP, right? I only have 19 stacks, but in the game you generally will stack up more HP, so Gargoyle will be more valuable. Same as the mask will be stronger. Also, I'm already like a 12 magic resist. This is like an interesting bruiser build to consider, but you can also get Void Staff over Abyssal Mask. That's totally fine as well if they have a lots of MR. This is like a bruiser oriented build with Conqueror. You can definitely go for this. If you value being tanky and some type of a frontline oriented mage, interesting to like it's kinda interesting to like try with it. Also the only problem is you kinda have some mana issues, which low-key the Frozen Heart fixes, so like this is a build you can go for. The burst damage build is not really good, right? So generally speaking, I don't even know about Riftmaker. Like it provides some level of healing, but most of your abilities are AoE, so you won't heal too much out of it, and the Void Corruption damage isn't that high, so I don't know actually how to feel about this, right? Like of course it will provide more Omnivamp when you have more items, then it's gonna get more valuable. I would say this is a consideration to go for it, right? Then again, you can go Leandri, which generally has more DPS, but this one heals you and makes you a bit more tanky, so that's that, right? Like I could see this tanky build working.
is not winning either.
Now what else do we have here? I would say like spamming too much cooldown as I do in here, it's not like that beneficial on the champion. Like cooldown boots, I wouldn't say they are that good because you already have like really low cooldowns, and if I just sell this, the differences are not that visible, right? So instead of that you can greed for more damage, for more tankiness, right? Right, so there are options to go for. In fact, you can get even Zanye over Gargoyle, right? Like I think there are definitely options you can go for. Zanye is really good of course in Swain, so Zanye instead of Gargoyle could totally work as well, right? This is like more so a tank oriented, frontline oriented build. If the enemy team has like a lot of burst damage or assassins, this could like definitely work, right? It has validity definitely. Because your ultimate is permanently up until you're in combat, so rallies, like this is something is replaceable, like you can replace this with rallies if you really want to. That's totally fine as well if you value the slow. So rallies is cheaper option. It has less damage, but rallies provides the slow which you can constantly keep it on, so that's like a good thing as well, of course. These items are not the best on Swain, honestly. Lichbane has some validity, as I said, because you can like proc one, you can Q, you can Lichbane, so it has some validity. These are just situational items, of course, white stuff, and these, they can work, of course. Then again, other items on Swain, such as Spirit Visage, is not necessarily bad, just because it provides you like healing, right? And the champion likes to heal a lot, of course. And then again, like Everfrost is not bad combined with your E. Of course, you can go for that. Crown is decent as well, but I would rather go for this instead of Crown. But Crown can be totally fine as well as a defensive option. But then again, like instead of Crown, you also can get Zanye instead of Gargoyles, and that's like okay as well. I'm not sure, like I don't feel like the champion will be really insane, but I think like a tankier style on Swain would make more sense, because they nerf the AP scaling on the champion and they buff like flat damages, so there is a world where like a tankier type of Swain would be more valuable, but that's just my opinion. Like you can do your own testing, watch what are other like pro players, what are other like better Swain players are building. This is just how I see the Swain will function, and I still don't think so that Swain is really a good idea to pick in mid lane, maybe in some melee matchups, but I'm not a big fan of picking it into like mages. Generally I think Swain is better if they have a lots of melee champions. The problem is with ranged champions is that they can space around really well around your Q, so it's harder to get the damage value out of it as well. Some of them are better at just like spacing out of your ultimate, like a Caitlyn or long range. The AD carries, right, when you ult they just walk out, so that's kind of a bummer. And as I said, your E is still kind of slow, so it's still difficult to hit. Your W, it doesn't hit on itself, you just good to cancel recall. So I think like a bruiser oriented build is fine on the champion, from my opinion, of course, right? So like the full damage of this build is not too high, but as I said, this is a DPS oriented build, so let's go for a full damage test in like, let's say like in, this is a DPS build, so let's see in like 5-10 seconds how much damage do I deal to a dummy. Let's add some magic resist as well, add resistances. Okay, let's add some resistances on this guy.
I peer through the darkness others fear.
Okay, so you can see like an average enemy has like 30% armor. They will usually have him between 35-30 MR usually, and Abyssal Mask reduces MR to 6%, so the guy will have from 24% magic damage reduction to 6%, which generally will provide you more damage, and it will provide the enemy more damage. So I think this is a fine item if they have like lots of AP champions that are generally melee. I think it's fine on Swain right now if you want to go melee with the champions. Let's check like a 5-10 seconds DPS check. Okay, let's commit. So you can see like this was like 10 seconds, I think, around 10 seconds, so I'll try and full build it through, but you're quite tanky as well, you have a big shield, so this is the build I would recommend. This is the build I would recommend. Also, if you choose, like instead of rallies, you could go Rabadons, right? So if your team already has enough slows, or you value more damage over mobility, or of course like instead of this you could get void staff. So for example, like this is definitely replaceable with void staff or Rabadon, or you can sell this for void staff, or right, or you can sell gargoyle for void staff. Like you can always flex your build depending on what do you need actually. Right.
When their lives flash before their eyes, so do their secrets.
So we can do another like small DPS check. Now we don't have the slow, but we already have slow from our ultimate, our W, our E, so Rallies is not bad, but you already have slows in your kit, right? So let's check. Let's do another DPS check, of course. Let's like 5-10 seconds again, right? 5-10 seconds. You can see like you push out a lot of damage out of your champions, like in 10 seconds, 6k. I mean, of course, I reduced its MR by like a significant, right? So that's like a thing as well, of course. Yes, I would say like this build is the one I like, of course. The one I personally prefer more than anything else, right? But then again, like it's really dependent what you build. Like there's so many like dependent builds. But this is like my opinion. I would still play Swain on bot lane. I would say it's still probably kind of bad to play him on mid and top. Like that's my opinion, but I don't think so. These changes are enough to make him viable. Problem is most of the mid laners are just spacing too well for you to hit your abilities, and on top lane there are too many matchups that just run you down. So I actually, maybe there are some matchups that you can bully, outpoke, you know, but I just don't like him that much. Like I preferably would like Swain on bot lane with an AD carry or someone like you can even play as an AD carry role Swain, and you get like a Pantheon support that can stand for you, then you connect your abilities, or something that generally like can CC the target so you can connect your E and then like get everything together, right? But I would say this champion needs some type of support that allows him to function. I wouldn't say it's really a good idea to play Swain on mid lane, because there is like too less space as well to run down people, and most of the matchups are not that Swain favored, so I would rather play him as a support actually, right? Let's see how much can we tank with the champion. One thing I didn't like, how much can we tank if there are let's say if there are multiple people in here, like usually you will have Zanye on Swain, of course, so you don't have to like. Let's go full HP as well. So now we turn everything up, of course. Let's just ult and let's see how much they. Now of course the enemy champions will damage you as well, so that definitely can happen. But you can see like I reduced the MR of multiple people, right, with my item, right, and then I reduced their attack speed as well. So I'm dealing both with AP and AD opponents at the same time, right, which is like really good. Like I'm reducing their stats by a lot, which allows my team to function better and me as well. So see, there is like a lot of damage, and the tower just can't kill me actually, and I'm not like this is the healing itself. This is the healing itself, gentlemen. Yeah, you can actually permanently tank or what? Can you permanently tank 2 towers? Let's see that. I need some mana. I need my ultimate back, and let's place. Now of course you will be able to tank some teams actually. You might be like with this tank build, you don't die too quickly because you have so much resistances, and you are able to tank like multiple people. Like 2 towers are like how much damage? They deal 178, 221. You have a lots of armor, right? But they have like towers generally have magic pen in their kits. I mean armor pen, right? So you can like kinda like face tank a team. Oh, let's turn these off, of course. Let's turn these off. So without I'm not even using my abilities, right? Without me using my abilities, I can tank a lot, right? I don't even like abuse that hard, like what? I don't even abuse that hard my abilities in the sense that I get soul fragments, heal myself or something, right? And this is how much you can tank. Like you just basically permanently tank. So the enemy team needs to have a lot of damage towards you, since your ultimate can be permanently up. And I recast it and it's still up, they get slowed, I connect my thing and... Yep. So tank Swain it is. I don't believe anything is better than tank Swain on this champion, but that's my opinion, right? Okay, that's it for now. This is my opinion about Swain. This is how you should build it, as I see it, right? But it just reworked freshly, so you can always like look for other guides, as I said, right? Because I'm not sure, I'm not sure exactly what to say, because it just freshly came out. But that's it for now. Have a nice day, guys.